views and stuff.
Time doing that stuff though. Yeah, they get a lot of monthly views, but they also get a lot of hate, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that hate watch Cenk.
Yeah,
you ever
but
look
there's
at like
also
the
a shit
comments
ton
on
of
his
views in that.
videos?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
They go after him hard. I hope he stays. He should have. He should watch YouTube with like a blinder, like right there. We could only look at the video. Like he straps some shit on where he can't read the comments at all.
Hire
like,
someone that only reads the happy comments.
Don't read them at all. Don't even engage.
Right.
Stay away.
But I like the conversations on mine though. I mean, you have people that are really passionate, but then there are a lot of threads where it's like people having conversations that don't normally disagree with each other.
Well, I'm saying this, the whole reason why I said it in the first place is more of a compliment than anything. I think it's a great thing that you're very, like, here's a perfect example. The way you handled the Milo Yiannopoulos thing. I think you're very fair. And I think it's great that you're neither left nor right, but rather reasonable.
Right.
You know, you're reasonable and considered. And I think that's one of your strengths. I don't think you would have a bigger audience if you just went all right. I think you'd be a big old phony unless you became Felina, and then you got some tits and put on a nice little dress, and then you could wear like sleeveless shirts, you know, because right now if you wear sleeveless shirts, you're a douchebag because you're a male. Right? If you're a man and you show your arms, you're a piece of shit.
Also, I got to start going to the gym because no one wants to see that now.
Maybe they would. Maybe they'd be like a Lena Dunham type thing. It'd be even bigger. So if you're going to go and become a woman, you either become a hot woman or a fucking sloppy one. A really sloppy one who celebrates food. And this is who I am. Love it or leave it. Fuck off.
I find that like the Lena Dunhams end up doing more damage to their cause than good.
Or she has 100 million Twitter followers and she's got food stuck in her teeth and no one gives a shit. Big old fucking sloppy arms like a 300-pound man's legs. There's nothing wrong with it.
I remember like a few days before the election, she put out this fucking animated video where she was talking with her dad, and it was the death of the white male.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Women empowerment by destruction of another. Dope.
Amazing that she's doing it all on a platform invented by white males. How bizarre.
Is that true?
Is that
true, Joe?
It's called the internet. And Al
Like,
Gore is
actually,
white. I know Al Gore.
And he
I
invented
saw
it.
his movie. He's so white. Well, the death of the white male? What?
But whether it be like
All those people who don't want to fuck me. Death.
oh god, the when it was the Odell Beckham Jr. thing. Did you see that? This was a while ago. She sat at the same table, and she wrote this whole post about how he looked at her like she was a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? What are you talking about?
She just made it up.
Just
She's
in
like,
her
I was
head.
just trying to be humorous.
In her head.
Yeah.
Did she say the humorous thing?
I don't know.
It's because I think she wrote this then apology where she was like, it was all in my head. And I was like, God, again?
I try to not mention her as much as
really?
possible, but it happens so often. And, you know, the weirdest thing was how she was giving a free pass for sexually assaulting her young sister.
Oh, the weird
Shoving things up her vagina when she was little. Like, what?
Well, so that's where, right? That's where when you say like I'm reasonable with the Milo thing, well, because you have to take into context other people, right? Is it a hit job? But also what you said earlier, where people are human beings, and let's talk it out. So Milo said some things that even he said he apologized for. Others he said was misconstrued, but it's and then there's the George Takei thing, which is different but still the same. You know what I mean?
George Takei thing you have to explain to people because most people have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, so this is a problem for me. I have conversations in my head that then I utter words halfway through.
Well, you're just so entrenched with media. You have
Right.
so much shit coming into your head every day that you assume everybody else is watching the same videos.
But they're just actually living their lives.
So they did a hit piece on George Takei essentially to sort of show that George Takei. Well, he was talking about his own personal experiences when he was very young with a camp counselor who did some sexually inappropriate things to him.
Right.
But he was talking about them in a very positive way, that he enjoyed it, and people were saying George Takei is promoting sex amongst 13-year-olds as being okay. No, he's talking about his own personal experience and being honest about it.
Well, and then the way that ends up becoming a comparison is that because it ends up being this weird argument of numbers, of lines in the sand, where he said, I said 13 because that's when I had my first experience. Then we talked about the age of, I'm trying to remember. He talked about the age of 14, which was, I think, when you were, so that was a conversation he had with you with the priest situation. Right? And then people were pointing out that his mindset changed. And my argument there was what you're talking about. To me, even if he, at any point before he acknowledged it, to me it sounded like he was a victim.
Yes.
But then that creates the argument too of if someone's a victim early in life, what does that excuse later on? Now, I'm not making the argument that Milo then went on to do and became a Sandusky, right? He was having a conversation and it's words. But at what point do we excuse things? And that's just that's a conversation I like to have where it's not damning. I don't want to go in on a victim, but also at the same time I'm going, it's fucking weird. It's me, and I think it's completely wrong if you have an adult that's trying to fuck a 13-year-old. I think that's
100%.
completely wrong. Like just when you, and I feel like you always have to put people in your in their shoes. Where if I was a parent and I'm dropping my kid off to fucking middle school and I find out some 25-year-old is fucking my son, I'm gonna go to jail. But that's gonna be a fucking dead person, 100%. That someone's molesting my child, no, done.
Yeah, I mean, I completely feel you, and I understand what you're saying. I think what the Milo situation is very bizarre because I think there is irreparable damage that's done to people when they're molested as children. And I think Milo has been really clear about the fact that he was molested, and he's tried to paint it in a positive light. But he tries to paint a lot of fucked up things in a positive light, and it could easily be his rationalizing and trying to figure
100%.
out. Yeah,
no one wants to be a victim in their own life, right?
So he's made it a positive thing.
He took control. It was him.
Yes.
So that's why I say, let's think of it in that way rather than going, he's against me, let's just destroy him.
Well, I think
he
problem
says outlandish
is
things.
that Milo does that. I mean, he's a merchant of outrage. That's his business. And when people get outraged back at him, and if somehow or another sticks, like this pedophile stuff, you can't be upset. This is the game that you started to play. If you get knocked the fuck out, if you're Mike Tyson and all of a sudden you get knocked out, are we supposed to feel bad for you? You've been knocking people out your whole career.
Right.
He's a merchant of outrage. If it's valid, if the outrage is valid, and I think it's valid, I think that what they're saying about what he was saying is absolutely valid. If he says that there can be incredibly positive relationships between very young men or very young boys rather, and older gay men, and that this could keep men from suicide, hit the brakes.
Right.
Stop. No, it's fucking illegal for a reason.
Right.
And you could potentially be encouraging someone who's fence sitting right now thinking about fucking kids to hop right over to the other side and start doing it because it was positive for Milo.
It does become that conversation. He said it was beneficial.
It is the conversation.
It is a conversation because also to that extent there might be someone that is 13 that's being abused that all of a sudden feels like that's normal. Right. So but let's talk about it. I 100% don't agree with the words. It is a tricky situation because you are talking about someone that was a victim of heinous crime. And then just then talking about it and going from there.
But it's also, he said that he was gay at the time. He knew he was gay, and he was the sexual predator. And every situation has its own variables, right? And in look, he's clearly a damaged guy, okay? And I like him. He's clearly a damaged guy. But the way he lashes out and the way he gets attention, I don't like the left's reaction to him. I like that far less than I like what he's saying. I feel like with a guy like Milo, he's not doing any real violent things. He's not doing any real damage. And what you should do is confront him with words.
Yes.
Debate him. Pick apart his arguments about feminism, about transgender people, about gay rights. Because he's got some crazy thoughts about gay people, and he's gay. He thinks that it's a choice, and he thinks that it's offensive, and if he could have a pill to not be gay, he would take it in a heartbeat. And he said all kinds of crazy shit.
I think when you have someone like Milo or anyone else, the number one thing shouldn't be let me silence that person, right? Because that's just gonna bolster them, validate them, let them talk. Right.
Yes.
So when you see situations like Berkeley, where I did see, I had people that sent me videos, and there was a protest in the beginning that it was just people being outspoken, and then there was the fucking crazy chaos of people. I know that you've talked about it before, of the people getting sprayed in the face with fucking pepper spray, people beaten in the streets. Obviously, I hate those people. What I really, really hate is the people that aren't doing that are like, yeah, that's what we should be doing, that aren't doing. Are you fucking crazy? You think this is a positive? You think this bolsters your argument that we're going to go against what we don't agree that they're saying with fucking violence? You think that makes you the winner? That's insane. It's straight up insane.
Well, it's also they put these blanket labels. He's a Nazi. He promotes genocide. They say all these things, and they say these things so that they can attack.
Well, there was that whole
he's a fascist.
Punch a Nazi movement after Richard Spencer got punched in the face, which, once again...
Who's Richard Spencer?
Or wait. Am I getting the name wrong? No, the guy that... I'm going to double check.
Go ahead.
You've made me doubt myself now. He's part of...
You might be right. I just don't know who it is.
Yeah. You always see
What's
his
his
face.
name?
He just got booted out of
Richard
CPAC,
Spencer.
from what I understand.
Richard Spencer.
So he talks about just look him up. You're not gonna. I imagine you aren't gonna be a fan, but people are like, he's a literal Nazi. We got to punch these people. That people like overjoyed.
So he really is a Nazi.
People just happy. But
is
the
he a
problem
white
is,
supremacist? This guy?
I don't want to label this guy on it. I think that you
Does
should.
he call himself a white nationalist or anything like that? Is he one of those guys?
That's the website.
Neo-Nazi.
Oh, he's a
See
neo-Nazi.
neo-Nazi everywhere. I don't know if he calls himself that. I'll double check.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to slam a label on someone and then do that
hard.
thing, right?
It's
hard.
Yeah.
But so he got punched in the face. Everyone fucking cheered for it. But the problem is, then you move the goalposts of who's a fucking Nazi. All of a sudden, PewDiePie's a fucking Nazi.
Right.
Everyone's a Nazi, and we can just be violent.
Punch Nazis. Yeah, the punch Nazi thing.
And so the whole thing is just debate these people, right? So like just let them be their own undoing if they are actually that wrong.
Well, I think there's a giant problem with groups of humans. When groups of humans get together, I mean that the phrase mob mentality exists for a reason. It's not, you don't say mob mentality. People go, why? Whatever do you mean, Philly D? What is a mob mentality? No, people know what happens. Giant groups of people face something called diffusion of responsibility. And that means when chaotic events are going on, they don't take responsibility for their own action because they're a part of this gigantic chaotic movement. And I personally, and this is just totally unfounded, I'm definitely not a scientist, I think it came from war. And I think people are used to large-scale tribal war, and I think it's been going on for so long, and the atrocities that are required for you to survive in war, like, with battle axes and shit, Braveheart style. I think once that breaks out, you lock into this massive mind sink with all the people around you, and you just accept this violent chaos. And I think that happens on campuses when people burn it down, burn it down. That is the same mindset. Everyone is involved in this hurricane of chaos, and you just get swept up in this mob mentality. And it's a really dangerous thing. Like I'm sure you saw the girl that got maced in the face that had the Make Bitcoin Great Again hat, and they hit her over the head with a stick. Like, what in the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, if you think that's okay, I think you're in the wrong. 100%.
It's just a girl.
Yeah.
Just a girl, non-violent, non-motion. She was stationary.
Yeah,
she was not threatening whatsoever.
I think if you listen to the audio before all of it happens, outside of that clip, she's literally saying, I'm actually surprised things are pretty calm here, because sometimes things go out of hand and then 20 seconds later, pepper spray to the face.
Yeah, they just decided that her hat was a Trump hat, and so they just blasted her. And it wasn't even a Trump hat. I mean, it had the right font.
Yeah.
So she had to get punished.
And so I feel like that's the big thing of understanding, whether
Wasn't
it be...
it a 60-year-old man that did it to her too, or something?
I don't know that.
Something insane.
I don't know that.
Find out that, because someone told me that it was a 60-year-old man that pepper sprayed her in the face.
So I mean, obviously we're talking about different kinds of severity, but there are people on both sides, and it's important to acknowledge that want to burn the whole fucking thing down, whether it be a person or an argument.
Yeah, and
Right.
if you're a 60-year-old man, you're still a fucking loser, and there's a pretty girl in front of you, and you're like, burn it down. I could never fuck you when I was young, and I can't fuck you now. Yeah, Nazis.
It's ridiculous, man. I'm very much of the belief that we have, rather than more and more people are talking about generalities where it's the left versus the right. I feel like a lot of the conversation, a lot of the stories end up being about these far left and far right people that are like fucking Pac-Manning their way to the middle and just slowly absorbing more and more people into their opinion. And what's scary is if they ever do get to the center, right? If it does become all of us in an us versus them. On Facebook, it's a lot closer to that. In
Really?
real
You
life,
think so?
Yeah.
How so?
After the election, I don't know about your personal like family and friend group, but how many people like cut off contact with each other for a while? Because on mine, holy fuck, it was like war. It was war, ending of relationships that had been longer than a decade. Insanity.
Really?
Yes.
Like your family members?
Yeah. Most of it, a lot of it's extended.
Oh,
Extended family.
Man, what happened?
Just people just saying like, well, one, there was I come from a family that they're fine with like independence. So there was right after the election, there was that whole like all independents did this. Even in California, if you voted for fucking anybody,
If you voted for Jill Stein, you took votes away from Hillary Clinton.
like, do you know how the electoral college works? You fucking idiot. Like, California is going to go to someone else. But yeah, just people going at each other because they're like, if you voted for Trump, you're a racist, sexist monster, and if you voted for Hillary, you wanted people to not have health care, and she's a fucking crook, and she should be in jail, and just
Drain the swamp.
yeah. I went to like I love the people I work with, but I went like emotions were high. People at my office we have a team of like 40 outside of my group, but people were crying. Like it was chaos.
I know a dude who was in the CIA, and he was telling me about his office where he works, that one of the women at the office was openly weeping.
Oh wow.
And he's like, hey, that's can't do that here. This is not the place for that. This is a weep-free zone.
Ooh.
You can't weep over democracy not going your way.
I mean, for a lot of liberals, I knew it was like a national day of mourning.
Yeah.
And then for everyone else that voted for him, it was just the day that we'll always remember.
Oh, there was a lot of people that were super happy. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like everyone was either like burning bridges or coming out to their friends in a way of like, or friends and family as Trump supporters, because there were a lot of people that were scared.
Yeah. Well, I think that he represents a lot of very dangerous things, you know, and he, in a lot of people's eyes, this is the death of responsibility. He can get away with more things. And then also all the different business ties and different entanglements and all the different things. And also, you know, he's just the way he communicates. That like people don't feel like it's statesmanly, and it's not representative of what they would like to think of as someone who is the president of the United States. They want to think about someone who's incredibly noble and well spoken and the best representative that we can have. You know, like forget about Obama's policies, okay? But him as a human being standing in front of that podium talking as the president was a joy, in that he was very measured and very calm, and I think that he's also very articulate and very well educated. And that thing that he represented when he was up there, that thing, the president, that figurehead that he represented, he did such an amazing job of representing that because he was exceptional.
Right.
He's an exceptional man. He's exceptionally smart. He's exceptionally well-read. The way he communicates is smooth, and even the way he's responded to criticism was very well measured, you know?
So
although he did fuck up when he was joking around about Trump back in the day, you know, like he was like, he was joking about Trump's criticism of him. But you know what? I'm one thing that you'll never be, the president. Ha! You fucked up.
So I agree with what you said about, like, I think he's going to be one of the most well-spoken presidents of my lifetime.
Yeah, well
right?
received,
but
after the fact.
There's going to be a lot of people that look at that and go, yes, but it was all phony. It was all an act.
Maybe.
Trump may speak 6 syllables at a time and break and then go on tangents.
Bad things. Very bad things.
Hey, it's in the bubble.
Some bad things.
It's in the bubble of bad hombres. It's in the bubble of... But I feel like there are people that go, you know what, he's not the best speaker in the world, but he's more real, right? So there's going to be that argument. I 100% agree with you about Obama as far as like the office and the nobility, but there are going to be people that say it's just bullshit. That's why we needed something different.
Maybe, but you know, there's other people that look at the whole thing and they say this is a well-needed break from the system. That, you know, I
think it's a big test. It's a test of our system.
Well, there's been people that have been controlling the system, people that were deeply entrenched in the left and deeply entrenched in the right for so long, and he's the first businessman that has been... He's been a participant in our system. He's been essentially paying these guys off for years and years, and now here he is. Like he talked pretty openly, which I thought was hilarious, about Hillary and Bill coming to his wedding, and that the reason why they did is because he paid them. You know, I mean, he paid them, I think it was more than $100,000 for them to come to his wedding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's just how they do things.
Do you mean like, do you think he literally paid them, or he gave them a donation and then they were like, well, we might as well?
Donation. I mean, let's be real about what the Clinton Foundation is. Whether or not it did good work, It's a goddamn pay-to-play operation, and one of the things that they got, besides the donations, which I'm sure did go to charitable causes, they got paid to speak. And they didn't just get paid to speak a little. They got paid to speak hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they did it over and over and over again, both Bill and Hillary. And there's a reason why. For the same reason why Trump won't release his taxes, Hillary won't release the transcripts of those speeches that she gave to the banks, because they would be horrific. If they weren't horrific, she would release them. It would be really simple. No, I said some great things about income equality and how we all need to, support impoverished communities. Fuck you, you did. Because if you did, you would release that, and everybody would go, oh, even though Hillary's worth millions of dollars, she's super fair.
Right.
She's reasonable. No, there was none of that.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
It's a corrupt system, man. It's a system that they've figured out how to find loopholes, and they've created legislation over the years that have allowed them to skirt through these weird sort of fucking avenues of legality, and they get to this point where they're making insane amounts of money as a public servant. I mean, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton have earned hundreds of millions of dollars, and doing what? Do you have a business? Are you selling laptops?
Right.
What are you doing? Do you have a new car that you're selling? Where are you making all this fucking money? Oh, just talking. How weird. You're making hundreds of millions of dollars talking when you used to be the president. And who's paying you? Oh, this is weird. The people that are paying you are the people that benefited from you being in the... Wait a minute. Did they pay you off? Are you... Hold on.
It's different.
Are you corrupt?
It's different. No.
Exactly, right? But that's the argument, and that's what it is. And that's the drain the swamp shit. I mean, that's where it came from.
Right.
So Donald Trump's not guilty of that. Okay?
Of doing that sort of thing?
That thing. He's not guilty of getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars to talk and to give his influence as a person who's serving, whether it's the Senate or someone who's a president. Right. That's not why he's getting that money. So he's corrupt in a totally different way.
Yeah, he's a special one. He's a special one. I don't know. I get exhausted about it.
It's exhausting. I hate even talking about it. People are mad at right now. Stop!
Are they hitting you?
I'm sure they are.
They're like, fucking Joe Rogan.
Enough. You don't know anything about politics. Which they're right. I should probably shut the fuck up. I should probably learn more and then get more upset and then talk more.
I used to joke about, I still do it from time to time, that I would want to be president, but when you see these dudes become president, they look like 1 month in, they look like they're like in a race they didn't train for.
Somebody should have a picture of Trump now.
I know. Well, he talked at CPAC this morning, and he was on the prompters, but I was just like, I don't know if it's the white balance on this video, but oh wait, what's that?
So this
5K,
is,
man.
My friend Cameron Haynes, keep hammering 5K. The only race I've ever run, I ran a 5K. Ask me how many times I ran a train for it.
7.
0.
I thought it was gonna be 0, but I thought you were gonna fuck with me.
I ran the race. I didn't train at all. So that's the same thing. If you caught me at the end of that race, I was like, "Whoa,
dead." Yeah,
that's hard to do.
You're like,
even if you're in shape.
It's a lot longer than I thought it was.
Well, it's more difficult to run 5K than it seems. It seems like I work out all the time. This is for pussies. I'll just go run it. No. I think if you think that you could be the president, like, I have amazing stamina, I have a winning mentality, winning temperament, like, once you get in there, man, that guy looks bewildered. That press conference that he did the other day where he's just going on and on about everything, holy shit, that was terrifying to people. I had friends that are conservatives that text me afterwards.